Good morning. Hey, you guys are already hanging out. I love it. Good morning in central New York, where it is beautifully raining. My old water bottle broke, and my wife got me a new one. My old one was my favorite because it was two water bottles. It was the size of two water bottles. This is the size of three water bottles. I love it. I would like to invite you to cherish the water more. Water that moves through pipes is sick, truly. There is an integrity to the vibration of water that we have a great deal of influence over. And moving through straight, often corroded pipes, pumped by machines, takes the life out of water. You got to let it sit 8 hours, let it sit overnight. I cannot encourage you enough to fill a jar, fill a bottle when you go to sleep as a normal step in your life. When you wake up, and accept the prayers that you leave this water with, that it purify and embody the love that is healthy for your life. And it will be that. First thing, wake up, water. First thing, water. Wake up, have some water. This is sage. It clears dissonance and confusion. It clears stagnant energy, the remnants of whatever you did in a room yesterday. It's useful as a general cleansing. It's also very useful when there's been an argument or some kind of clash, if you've had an accident, if you've just bumped yourself badly and it hurt. That energy lives. It's resonant in a space. When you use sage, you cleanse, you return that stagnation to the earth and create space for new life. It's also really good before you go on trips. Sage your car, sage your home once a week at least. This is cedar. I have felt something close to evil. Cedar removes the energy of malice, the energy of a sick consciousness that wants to hurt something else. Cedar is, it's an incredibly strong, powerful tree. Thinner branches frequently that are just magnificent. And the essence of this smoke goes right in, clears out that kind of stagnation and removes it. You don't need to do this all the time. You do it in specific response when you recognize some threat, which could be as simple as you daydreaming something negative. Do you pay attention to such things? If you daydream something negative, there's a presence of an evil. Evil in this is defined as a sick force that seeks to hurt someone else rather than feel its own pain. Get some sage and cedar. Welcome here. Elora, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Kinsey, good morning. Misty, hello, how are you? Sarah. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. If I remember correctly, Sarah changed her work schedule so she could be with us. Thank you. Shannon, I'm so glad you're here. Tom, Janie, hello from Norway. Love to you as well. Claudia, I'm so glad you are here. I'm kind of excited because I do not know where this is going. I had I've been coming to a recognition lately that people are far more interested in hearing from Thoth than me. And of course, you know, at the same time, I realized that I've been in struggle because I've been um, working to know myself in the face of this incredible gift I have. And in that, I've been conversing with Thoth more because when I listen to the channelings from him, sometimes I'm like, cut it out. That's me. Like, it sounds like me sometimes in a way that, like, there's no way he would phrase it that way. So I talk to him and I'm like, come on, that's me. Like, what is this? Like, take over, make it pure. And he says, no. He says that would be bad for me. That he wants to share enough through me that if I were to surrender completely to the point where I lost all sense of self, I would not develop into the kind of person he's teaching me to be. My voice is getting deeper. My pacing is getting slower. He wants me to know how to access these spaces and eventually communicate more clearly as myself from these places. It'll be a while, apparently, because I'm still, oh my God, I'm daunted. He's changed it up so I learn much less on my own. I used to spend days just, all I do is like, come on, explain this. I don't get this. Explain this. I don't get this. I would just block out everything. And that's all I would do. And now he's giving me less until I'm ready to record. It's kind of frustrating because it's like, it's my thing. Like, this is what I do. And I'm like, push it against these walls. And it's like, nah. and I like bristle, and then I go down. And yesterday I came down and recorded, and I just listened to it this morning. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. You are not fully here. It's very likely that the more crucial elements of yourself, your soul, that which is real before you come to earth, not here. Not here. We do these again and again and again until we can invite our soul to be present within our body. But make no mistake, much of the volatility, intensity, and dramatic layers of pain and suffering that are common on earth are anathema to your soul. Your soul won't. Just know. Much of what we do here is carve, forge, build, take away, try, cut back, prune behavior. When we create behavior through the repetition of pattern, we are generating spiritual song. We are generating spiritual presence. When the integrity of what we create reflects something our soul can embrace, our soul can come closer. When we regularly get excited and then get so hyper that we hurt ourselves, or get excited and joyful and then someone else steps in the way of our experience and we yell at them in anger, our soul can't do these. Our soul will not do these. To create the depth of a pattern that's safe for your soul, you have to be present in Gaia without succumbing to some of the more vicious patterns that are here. It is that simple. That's very difficult. You are. thinking with other beings. If you've listened to this last channeling, it is a pathway into learning to recognize that you are already thinking with other beings. This is super, super important to come to terms with, because you don't have to be conscious of the way it works to respect that it's true. And the ultimate, I'm going to spoiler here, the conclusion, the only sane conclusion to this is that you be far more conscious with how you use your attention. Truly. Because when you engage in anything significant, you're going to start thinking with everyone else who engages that. If you pick up on a song that's really popular, you will be creating proximity. Spiritual proximity is defined by commonality of pattern. So when you share a pattern with many all over the world, you are thinking with them. On some level, some proportion of you will be thinking with them. And thus, there can be a momentum that emerges where beings carry their attention from place to place spiritually. A spiritual place is akin from choosing the radio station you're focusing on. When you choose what you focus on, there's momentum to that suggests you're going to have to make very intentional choices to change that momentum. You will literally feel drawn into patterns that, if you reflect on them accurately, you don't really like it. You don't really like it. But something else, something somewhat deeper perhaps to you, has a momentum to be there. You must become conscious of this. And the best way to do so is to get back to the earth. You see, the patterns of human consciousness that we share enable us to share proximity. Now, you know what proximity means? Being close. Proximity in a spiritual sense means sharing pattern. You can think with someone who lives in Hong Kong if you pay attention to the same things all day long. If you would set an experiment where two people isolated themselves for a month, and during that month, they lived the same patterns and watched the same movies and listened to the same books all day long, they wouldn't have to do anything else. They would end up in close proximity to each other in their mind. The spiritual proximity would enable them to think together, whether they recognize that happening or not. I'm inviting you to recognize this is already happening. Many of you are likely tortured by thought patterns you really wish that you weren't living this way. And yet you haven't put together the fact that even if you carve out a unique niche within a community that you're part of, you will not be able to stop living in that niche in relation to the other people until you change the overall patterns of how you spend your time in your life. And again, the answer, the invitation is to get back to the earth. The elements are very, very simple. Earth, air, water, and fire. When you use these elements to cleanse you and recenter you, you make it easy to dissolve the spiritual patterns that might be navigated on the internet, for instance. Any spiritual pattern you live out through your attention span, by like what you watch, is going to have a powerful impact on what you carry when you're not watching it. If you have not noticed yourself just having thoughts from a little video you watched running through your head, you need to start learning to recognize it, because ultimately that kind of attention is magnetizing you away from noticing what it feels like outside. When you bring your attention towards your body, you begin not just with your body, but with your body's interaction with elements. This is what brings you closer to Gaia. Being present with Gaia is going to subject you to the realization that you have not. It is very likely that you have not been present with Gaia. Her mind is right here. Please, 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 please understand. It's very conscious. She's very conscious. She'll talk to you. She will talk to you. Chatter, in fact. She's also extremely respectful in every way that works within the measures she knows. Meaning, she's going to give us a lot of freedom, but she also knows how to hold certain things in check. And she's aware that if she has to hold us in check, she is cutting back on our ultimate ability to express ourselves. She wants us to be willing to express ourselves within a wild orchestra. A wild orchestra where she is not saying, do this now, do this now, do this now. But she is saying, time to change. Time to change. Bring that down. It's gentle. It's like a gentle coordination that is occasionally utterly fierce. Hurricane. It's incredible. It's an incredible, incredible, incredible invitation. And likely as not, you have to get past certain levels. First of all, there is no way to kind of get through the gate to be fully present here. Well, I would say it begins with getting pissed at her. Getting pissed at her that she would allow suffering. I don't think you could get past a certain range of awareness until you're like, what the fuck is your problem that you would create this? Do it. Do it. She's perfectly willing to wrestle with you that way. I won't answer all those questions for you. I can share the answers I have occasionally. But I'm not going to sit here and do it because there's great value in you doing it. And as you get past her initial explanations, you're going to see her. She's both more vicious and way more compassionate than anything you can recognize. And if you get hung up on one element of the difficulty of embracing her, shall we say, dark side, you're not going to be able to progress. Okay. So she taught me this yesterday, and I'm very apprehensive about sharing it. I guess I'm going to. Think of her as the zombie queen. I can't believe she wants me to tell you this because I just don't even know if I believe it or fully understand it. All right. But I'm going to go faster. So I just release the information that I've been taught. Here's what she's saying. Imagine our soul dancing in space, but within this system, within this solar system, around this soul, this star, soul. You know, the sun is called soul, right? It's not an accidental gift we're given to say our soul. So you're dancing in space around the sun. She's aware of herself as part of this solar system. She knows herself as part of the solar system, and she has a conscious awareness of every spiritual presence, everything that generates spiritual karma within the solar system. She incarnates beings on Earth, gives you a body, even when they don't fully want to be here. And the principle is she is literally taking our karma because it's loose and it's getting in the way of like a clean, vibrant solar system. So she takes it and she says, you're working this out. This is why many people think of themselves as captives. In a certain respect, you are. It works in direct relationship to karma. So if we've generated karma by dancing around in space in a particular way that is, it's not as conducive to continuing to dance. It's creating density. One way of looking at it is you get grumpy too much. When beings get grumpy too much on a solar level, on your soul level, she gives you a body. And then you need to work out that karma before you can leave. But many beings don't have to be nearly as present as they want to. They just have to lose some of their power to Gaia. Now, this could seem really mean unless you recognize the initial trust that it's karmic. You're generating karma, you have to work it out. But if you're not willing to be present in her gift, the body she incarnates for you, then she's not going to treat you as well. In the same way, you take better care of your tomato plants than stray grass that grows under your tomato plants and tries to, steal some of the energy from the roots. She's going to take care of those who love it. She's going to take care of those who just try to love it. And the invitation is, if you start to pay more attention to cherishing the gifts that we all get, the beauty of an incredible sunset, the blessedness of the breeze on your cheek, the ecstasy of lifting your head up and letting the rain hit your face. If you cherish these things, she's going to teach you to behave in a way that can invite your soul closer. She'll talk to you about it. She'll be chatty. She'll be quite inviting to help you embrace the recognition that being here is not a choice, but being here with your full presence, with a resonance that gives you nuance, that gives you deep awareness of the joy. This is a choice. This is the choice she wants for you. She wants you to love it. She wants you to cherish it. And the best avenue into this love is to give respect to the simple blessings that are really here already. Well, exactly. Erica, soul is the word for the sun. In many textbooks I've seen, it's the real name for the sun. Now look, for this to work, I can't believe. She really wants me to tell you all this. It's kind of cool because I learned these things that are so amazing that I'm like, I'm going to have to work on that for months. And in order to explain it clearly. So I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to explain this clearly, but she wants me to. The sun, and this matters, okay? I know you might not want to think on this level, but it really matters for making sense of just a simple, normal life. We always go macro, micro, and you need to. The sun exists as an entity that reaches beyond the Kuiper belt, all the far asteroids, all the far meteors. It goes all the way to Neptune, Uranus, Neptune, and then there's these tons of smaller bodies, Pluto, Eris, Sedna, Hanuman. There are many, many, many smaller planets out there, many of them the size of Pluto, and then thousands and thousands and thousands of smaller ones. And it's a big belt. It's a big range of these smaller places. And then past that is a boundary. It's a very clear boundary. They only recently discovered it when the initial Voyager 2 passed through it, and its sensors went haywire. It's hot. It's hot. There's a membrane around the sun, around everything, all the planets and meteors. And then once you go through it, less light gets out. There's a distinct boundary that stops photons from the sun and means a lot less light gets through that boundary than goes up to it. There is an integrity to this bubble, which it's important for us to recognize because we live within this, and everything within this is part of a whole. And this is the part that I don't fully understand, and they really want me to teach you. We think within this whole bubble. We can feel the influence of solar engagements. Solar is everything within this. Your soul exists within this sphere. Even when your soul is not fully present in your body, which the class, you haven't remembered any other lifetimes, you don't have any trust that you've had an existence anywhere else other than Earth, your soul's not here. When your soul starts to occupy your body, it means the part of you that's aware of this whole system and everything you brought here is now starting to be giving you perspective on your existence just on Earth. So that's the hint that your soul wants in. Your soul wants to be here. But you don't have to know anything about your other existence in your past lives for your soul to influence you based upon what's happening all throughout the solar system. There is an extraordinary range of activity here. There are engagements centered in all the far-flung meteors. Beings gather and focus their consciousness way out there, and you can be influenced by it. And Gaia will create some proportion of reflection. Gaia, if there's something dramatic happening on Eris, which is one of the furthest big, it's the size of Pluto, and it's way past Pluto. If there is something dramatic happening there, there will be a reflection of that pattern here. Gaia creates it on purpose as a fractal relationship to the solar system. She doesn't have to, and she does, because that enables us to remain more deeply woven in with the entire solar system. Why does this matter? We're going to take a step over here for you to get it. Let's say you are a masculine force whose dominant inspiration in life is to get as many women as possible, sleep with, have sex with as many women as possible. This is the dominant motivation in your life. I'm telling you for a fact that if you don't rein that behavior in, you will be reincarnated as a bull. And it won't be particularly pleasant. You'll be a bull on a farm where you're branded and prodded. Gaia will do her absolute best to give you an opportunity to live out the expression that you most fuel and invest in, but you're not going to get it under the circumstances that are ideal for you, or at least not for long. Let's say you're a woman who wants complete and utter dominance over her mate. You don't give up on it. You don't, give them the freedom. You want to control everything about what they do, look through their phone, whatever. They're not allowed to talk to their friends. You will reincarnate as a praying mantis. Really. And you'll mate, and then you'll eat your mate. You'll get an exaggerated expression of what you were living out, but you'll get it in a very, very painful form. Everything you can dream, every layer of violence you can contemplate actually has a place, but it gets channeled into different scales. So yeah, you got that complete dominance, but now you're a bug. You want all the women? Sure, you're surrounded by all of them. They lose their autonomy completely. They can't be dynamic. They can't explore. They can't flourish. They can't show off for you. There's no one for you to show off to. You're a bull. None of the other male cows like you at all. It's a vicious, awful exaggeration of what you were trying to create. Her forces are deep. You think with animals, and you think with other planets. The scale does not matter nearly as much as you might think. We are bonded by the fact that we have the soul, the sun at the center. You can, if you focus on Uranus for a while, you'll learn to tune into the beings there. I did a reading on a woman once late at night, and I was like, "You've been going to Eris constantly." And she started laughing. She said she was obsessed with Eris, this planet. It's way out there. It's twice as far as Pluto. If you think a lot about a planet, you're going to learn to tune into the themes that are present on that planet, which is absolutely incredible. None of these planets are empty. You really, really have to get this into your consciousness. None of these planets are empty. They're full of consciousness. Every single one of them is full of consciousness. And you are already influenced by them dramatically. Dramatically. We all are. The political patterns on Earth are influenced by things that are happening on other planetary bodies. And most importantly of all is the sun. Our soul is designed to be here. Your soul said hello to the earth before you came here. You knew of the earth as maybe I'll go there someday. In fact, when you first showed up here, she introduced you to what exists here. I was once taken to the welcome of a new being to the earth. It was an intense being. And by the way, vastly different ranges of intensity are present. So if a being's been around the sun for a long time but hasn't visited the earth, when they show up on the earth, their presence is strong because they haven't been woven in. There isn't just an obvious channel for them to participate in. So you know what she did? She dipped the bean in the Arctic Ocean, pulled it out, dipped it in the Caribbean to show hot, cold. Be between these measures. This is some of the hottest. This is some of the coldest. She orients beings and then gives them another layer of, okay, what do you want to do? Again and again and again, she introduces you from the macro down into the micro, which is why in order to reclaim your soul, you have to get back into this macro story, which you know this story. It's in you. You recognize it. You just have to let it come back into your awareness. So there's only one more order of magnitude we're going to go, then we're going to stop, okay? But you do need this one, and it's a little bit scary. When you were a being who, before, just be with me on this, because they've been telling me the same answers for years and years and years, so I do trust it. You were approaching the sun. Your eternal self did not have a soul. It's not your soul that approached the sun. When you approached the sun, you hit this boundary and you paused. At this boundary, this sphere around the sun, you first interact with solar energy. That's when you get a soul. You're a guest at first. You're visiting the sun. And so you get an impression. There's a core vibration to the light of the sun that's absolutely unique. You must agree to become something in relation to this unique energy. That is your soul. Now it's like you're past, you're here. You could boosh all around through the solar system with your soul. And then you could go still deeper. It's like you get into the amusement park and then you get to choose to go on different rides, or you could just wander around and watch the things in between. There's lots going on in between. You don't have to go on a specific ride. You want to get on a ride. On Earth, a mirror of the same process happens. You approach the Earth, you hit the edge of the gravitational boundary that would bring you into orbit. And then you get your spirit. Your spirit is in direct relationship to Gaia. They've encouraged me for years to use the understanding of spirit and soul in this way. It's very calming. You first approach Earth. You're not on what we call the Earth yet, because you're learning to recognize a bigger sphere around the Earth as fundamental. There are many layers to her presence. She knows herself as bigger than just the rock and the water. You hit this spot. You hit it. You like, whoosh, and you create an impression, your soul interacting with Gaia's spirit. Now you get a spirit. This spirit, if you choose to incarnate in physical body, is planted into the soil. And you grow a spirit tree. This spirit tree is the self that exists for many lifetimes on Earth. Your lifetimes are like branches on this tree. And over the course of the seasons of your life, these branches flower and then the flowers die. As you generate the habit of living that is in tune with the truth of this magnificent story enough to invite your soul into the presence of your body, you become a being that can flower again and again and again. And this is no longer abstract. Flowering is reflected in how you get to behave day to day. When you go through a whole season where you're flourishing again, where the energy that runs through your life is inspiring to everyone around you, this is a deep reflection of your ability to live in such a way that your soul's like, all right, I'll be there. Your soul does not want to be in your body when you're screaming in rage and blaming someone else for your pain. Your soul will send you messages saying, chill the fuck out, calm down. That's not who you want to be. But if you don't follow those messages, your soul kind of has to keep a distance in a certain way. It's a little bit scary to know that there's a fragility to this initial connection. And yet, over the course of a lifetime, you can make choices that again and again and again choose in a way that is an invitation to the rhythm of your soul. And if you don't know how to do that, you just hold the question as a prayer. How can I live in a way that is an invitation to my soul? How can I live in a way that's an invitation to my soul? How can I live in a way that's an invitation to my soul? Get some passion into it. Make a song out of it. Repeat it in the morning. Find something that's accessible. And then listen. In this listening, it's really about attunement, because you are trying to create a harbor for your soul on Earth. And attuning to the Earth is the best way to remind yourself where this harbor is. Now, this is the worst part of the whole story, all right? This is the worst part of the whole story. There is this in-between space that I would suggest most people live. It's reflected by what happens when you scroll through YouTube shorts. I swear to you, it is so hard for me to maintain the dominance of conscious YouTube shorts. You know, I'm on YouTube a lot, so it's an easy break for me. And I go there, and the moment you give credence to something stupid, it's going to show you 5 more stupid things that a million people have watched. This is a reflection of how thinking in general works. There is a magnetism to shared ideas. There's a song that pulls you in. And right now, there is still not enough presence in sheer numbers. Not enough people are thinking about beautiful things in a way that has magnetism, that pulls other beings into it. The sheer proportions all over the earth, there's not enough of it. So when we have to work a little harder to keep our attention in this presence, there is a lot of presence in the beauty of the sunset, because many, many beings are still out there appreciating the sunset. There is a lot of presence in the beauty of the rain, because many, 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 many human beings and many animals cherish these gifts. So when we return to the elements, we recenter. We say, this is it. This is home. This is the foundation. And then you try to get the rest of your thoughts to be in harmony with that. And watch yourself. If you get caught in a groove thinking about something and it's really hard for you to take care of the fact that your back is stiff, that's a clear sign. There's something wrong with what you're thinking about. Why is it so out of tune with your body? As you begin to develop these measures, you're creating a strong enough groove that your soul starts to get more interested. Your soul starts to say, this is looking promising. They're actually doing something. You could go through a whole lifetime not generating anything significant. Plenty of beings do. Plenty of beings aren't really here. Gaia has given you a body, but you've never really woken up in it. Your soul is hibernating, orbiting the earth. It really works this way. Your soul is hibernating, orbiting the earth, way away from your body. It's not in your body. It's not in your body. To invite your soul down, to wake it up inside your body, you have to lay a clear enough foundation. Now, level 2. I think I stepped into a story in the middle of Misty. That I just needed to read that. So, Sarah. That's from Sarah. This is the work, because I believe they are sharing elements of. Wait a second. What am I? All right. Something new's trying to come through and I'm spinning. I'm spinning. Huh. I think I'm experiencing a little bit of PTSD, y'all, because I've been trying to do this for so long. And I've been conscious of the difficulty of staying present in the culture that I was born in. You see, there are a lot of human cultures are still way closer to the earth, right, than mine. But I live in an academic town with, surrounded by human beings, many of whom don't get to spend enough time outdoors all day. And presencing a Gaian consciousness in the face of this is really challenging. And the message I've been getting more and more is like, chill out, dude, celebrate. Like I've accomplished much more than I've allowed myself to believe, but I'm still kind of like operating on like, gotta work, gotta make this work. Like too much struggle. The gift of a Gaian consciousness is ultimately to be. Really to be. Or, you've heard it. We're human beings, not human doing. The gift of being is that we are actually doing. And that in so many ways is the essence of the work I've been given to share. That when we create our presence, we are creating something. When we are being deeply and fully, when we are recognizing these sacred gifts, when we are cherishing the way the light comes through the window, When we're honoring these things on a daily basis, we are creating, we are doing something, we're generating spiritual presence. And so just in the form of being around anyone who has contagious energy, if someone's funny, you feel funnier. If someone's inspiring, you feel more inspired. For us to be more present, we can draw others into this presence. And so we are doing by being. And I haven't given myself just another level of appreciation for this. Yesterday, I went and walked in the rain, and it was exquisite. It was exquisite to be in this embrace of accepting the boundaries as they are, to particularly the weather, it's the kind of gift that it's not even that it just keeps on giving. I want to invite you into this, like, the rich dimension that occurs when you literally talk to Gaia about it as it happens. So it's like you look at the sunset and you're like, nice one, Gaia. You can hear her say, hey, I'm so glad you liked it. I have never felt her in this form. First of all, she's basically trying to make me laugh. Second of all, I've never felt her in this way. It's from a certain perspective, I feel like I'm not saying enough. And she's basically very, very happy to be personally introduced. So there's a channeling that I'm going to post later this week that's going to make more sense of it. And partly I'm hesitant because I've already recorded that. I learned that, and I feel like it's like no spoilers or something. But here's the principle. She cares a lot about not looking at you. Really. Because when she looks at you, it changes you a lot. And this is, it's a layer of autonomy. It's like, you need to choose it, and you need to choose it fully by the choices you make day after day after day. She's excited because I have chosen this so thoroughly that I can relate to you what it's like. And again, I don't feel like I'm necessarily doing the best job of doing that, but maybe the smile does more than I think. To be seen by Gaia, to see Gaia, sort of, it's almost flirty, you know. It's like, wow, Gaia, that was a beautiful sunset. And she'll go, oh, you liked it, huh? Like, it's really, really cool to connect with her in such a way, but you got to keep doing it. Like, you can't do it and then go, fuck you, why'd you make it cloudy? I mean, you can, but it won't work as well. You know, she'll be like, ooh, it's time to be cloudy. To fully appreciate her decisions is just kind of like, this is the starting point. It's very daunting because you have to carry that into many more layers of what's happening. Like, why the hell is there a war? You want to know why you should care in this kind of way? Because you approach every question with a degree of reverence that you don't know what's going on yet. You're saying, what is she doing? What is she doing? Even the most awful things, you're saying, what is she doing? And by approaching them with this reverence, you get to open doors into entirely different perspectives that you just can't open if you decide, I'm someone who doesn't like the clouds, or I'm someone who is always peaceful. I am still not at peace with wars. She tells me over and over and over again, she has no desire for there to be war. It's just necessary to destroy whole layers of things that are worse. She's measuring the spiritual song. And when spiritual songs get extremely dense in particular ways, it is next to impossible for people to appreciate their life on Earth. And she knows that. And she cares enough to say, we've got to destroy that. And the fact of the matter is, the global interconnectedness means you simply can't stare at one corner of the world and act like you understand what's happening, because everything's connected in a form that ripples. And again, returning to this reverence that she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing on a depth that is far, far more exquisite than we can understand, is crucial. She wants us to live beyond violence entirely. I've been welcomed into it occasionally, and it terrifies me. It's hard to explain, but oh God, it's all at once. First of all, the story of the world as you know it is just one of many things that's happening on planet Earth. Planet Earth, this is just one, what we're living in is one radio station of existence. I've been welcomed into entire dimensions of existence here on Earth that have an absence of violence, almost completely. All the violence is in Gaia's hands, is in the form of the weather. And in that space, I could barely stay because I introduced my fear of violence. And they tell me that. They're like, you carry the fear of violence, which is the presence of violence, which interferes with the integrity of this space. And it is far more frightening because it's as if I'm witnessing this incredibly fragile beauty. It's so much more beautiful than anything I can feel, specifically because there's a complete absence of this individual desire to destroy. Individuals have no urge to just hurt another because they're interconnected enough. Their karma is so well that they have an absolute understanding. If I hurt you, I hurt me. You can't think those thoughts because the overall magnetism of a very different way is so strong that you're not able to maintain the presence of those kinds of thoughts. That's what we're trying to create. It's just that Gaia sees us in this big perspective where she knows the place of this history, this time of fighting. She understands all of this in this big picture relationship, which it's designed to bring us towards a much more beautiful place. But we got to do it. We've got to create it. We create this space exactly as people have understood the Christ consciousness grid. We are creating a crystalline consciousness. We have to make it. We make it with our commitment to bend our own behaviors, to bend our own worst instincts, to feel our rages and rechannel them, to honor our pain and learn to heal with it. We create the presence of the possibility of a better way of life by directly addressing everything that doesn't seem to work about the life we have and praying into a better version. And we do it again and again and again because it's the repetition of these patterns that creates a magnetism that can invite others in. And that is what we're for. You can't get into this depth without allowing her to be. I mean, look, an individual. Think of her as an individual. Think straight to the center of the earth and think of her as an individual personality. Now, you won't begin to encompass the totality of what she is, but she will meet you here. She will meet you in this individual connection. And make no mistake, you'll lose it like this. You misconstrue something you hear without owning it, and you'll lose her. You could watch it happen. Think with her. Think you understand what she just said, only to watch it all fall apart. Because what will happen is she will reveal every layer of projection that you haven't coped with. Every layer of projection you haven't coped with will be brought to the surface, and you will get this absolute trust that whatever broke the conversation is what you got to work on. It's absolutely fabulous, but it won't work unless you strive for it. You need to want it. You need to want it. And you know what she really does? And this is the beauty, and this is what I'll leave you with. You try to talk to her. She'll talk to you a little, and she'll give you to another angel. She'll give you to a guide. That might be A prominent angel, that might be because you've already developed trust with that. That might be a nameless being. She gives me to plenty of nameless beings. They won't even tell me their name. They're like, I'm not here for you to remember. I'm here to guide you. When you allow this to happen, it's exquisite. It's so much fun. But it won't work unless you strive for it. Again, the striving actually begins in simple actions that bring you back to the elements. So get yourself some sage. Get yourself a good bottle. Fill the bottle as your nightly ritual. You're going to fill the bottle and leave it on your counter. And when you leave it, you're going to pray for the purity of this water. That as you accept and embrace the essence of this water, you're accepting and embracing Gaia's essence. You're also embracing the humility that the attitude you have about the water is held within the water. Your attitude about water is held within the water. You can learn to feel it. And don't drink out of plastic. As best you can, drink out of metal or clay or glass. Drink out of something that's natural. Your attitude about the water is held within the water. So leave this bottle with reverence. Then you wake up and you go to the water and you know that it's carrying your prayer, and you drink it. You take it in and you feel it happen. It goes everywhere in your body. The resonance gets in your blood and it spreads. You can feel it happen. This is how you get back in touch with thinking with Gaia. And you take this is what you do again and again and again when you lose it, because these are the basic steps, and you do enough of it. She's like, come on, do a little more. Come on, do a little more. So get some sage. Sage cleanses your space. Saging your space is like dissolving old negative habits of thought that have been present. When I enter a room, I can know things that have happened there. I can close my eyes, tune into a dissonant frequency, and see a fight that's occurred there. When I leave my home and return to it, I can remember things that I was thinking when I was last there. Spaces hold resonance. Now, you don't have to pick up on that for it to be true. So get some sage. I promise you, it's a crucial element of life to cleanse spaces. And lastly for today, look, people, you've got to make this one normal. Barefoot. Go barefoot a lot. A lot. Get outside. If you must touch the earth with your bare feet. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, I don't know what to tell you. Find exactly the experiment that'll work. Do it for a minute and get back inside. I encourage you to have sandals that are easy to take off in warmer weather so you can easily take them off. When you get your vibe tuned with Gaia enough, your feet will hurt when you're wearing shoes. It's beautiful. So taking simple actions to tune yourself more deeply to her through elemental connection reveals this synchronization of thinking. And the synchronization of thinking is utterly exquisite. It's so much fun. And one of the most joyful parts of this is, look, people, we are operating well beyond all these law of attraction worlds, okay? Because what you're actually doing is you're essentially casting your biggest investment. If you think of everything that you would want to attract, like using law of attraction techniques, you're going to visualize it to make it real, invest your feeling in it to make it real. Imagine into the presence of the victory, the joy, the embrace of success that you need, that you want. The ultimate investment takes everything. The ultimate investment takes everything, and the ultimate investment is to be here. And when you cross a certain threshold, you can't win the same games anymore, because you said, what I want the most is to be fully present here. And she goes, are you sure? And you say, yes, this is what I want. And she says, are you sure? This could go on for years. You say yes, and you say yes again, and finally there's a sync. You know what happens? You lose someone. You lose on the surface. It looks like a loss. You lose some autonomy. Why? Because you already made your choice. You said, I want to be here. You already said you want to be here. And what that means is you're going to become a more full expression of life here, which means she's going to give you something to do that's absolutely awesome, that's really quite inspiring, but you have to learn to embrace it that way. And if you're pissed that you don't have the freedom to do whatever you want anymore, you misunderstand. You had the freedom to make this prayer. And it's likely that you're hesitating to fully invest in the prayer because you might be a little afraid of what happens. Don't rest there. Do it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. You get to feel everything far more beautifully. You get gifts that you just can't buy. Think of the most expensive meal you could possibly imagine having. Seriously, imagine the most expensive meal you could possibly imagine having. It's inconsequential. Inconsequential. Why? Because if you don't know how to fully be present, you can't actually experience that meal. It's not really better than a pasta dish that you'd cook yourself. Not really, because you don't know how to taste it. Now, yeah, you might enjoy it a lot more, but I'm telling you that you lack a whole dimension of existence. And I promise you, the strawberries I had with my daughter this morning taste better to me than a $300 meal I could have 10 years ago before I knew how to taste. Actually, we'd have to say 30 years ago, but I won't quibble. You guys keep me inspired in a way I'm really grateful for. This has been a strange day, and I'm eager to see where it goes because something is flowering, something is flourishing. I'm glad to have you here. I am going to shift over to the sanctuary. The sanctuary is our membership space where we do a shared meditation and readings, talk about it. You all please consider joining us. It's a community tab on the wildflowerfire.com site. And there are instructions from there on how to join up. You're welcome. You're welcome here. You're welcome with us. We think together when we share these times. Let's make sure our love carries throughout the weeks. Thank you for being here.